Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening up the playbook on true intimacy. We're analyzing the work of Topaz Adizes, the creator behind that Emmy-winning project, B&D.
That's right. We're really digging into the structure of, well, deep connection.
Yeah, intentional connection.
Our focus today is pulling out the key insights from, 10 years of his research, filming almost 1,200 couples, I think.
Wow, yeah, across 11 countries, all these different couples having these structured conversations.
And the core idea that just keeps coming up in the sources is it's pretty simple but huge. The quality of our relationships, that determines the quality of our whole life.
It sounds like a massive claim. But Adizes' work seems to give us the how. He spent, like you said, a decade lighting up what he calls the AD.
Which is that invisible thing, right? That space between two people.
Exactly, the magnetic, often unspoken space. And our mission here is to kind of pull out the tools you need to actually, nurture that space.
And maybe we should clarify for you, the listener, what the actually is. It's this project, right? Where couples sit face to face and answer these really personal, sometimes really tough questions on camera.
Yeah, it's not therapy. It's more like structured honesty, performance almost.
Yeah, designed to get past the usual stuff. And the whole thing, this entire quest, it apparently started from just one question. A question asked by Adizes himself when he was only 4 years old.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that origin story because it's kind of incredible. He's 4, his parents are going through this really painful, messy divorce.
Right, and he sees this intense conflict so much so that his dad, totally distressed, asks him, the 4-year-old,
Ask a kid.
yeah, asks the kid to dictate like a formal agreement to his mom about holiday schedules. Can you imagine?
That's a lot for a 4-year-old.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then later, he sees his mom just silently crying in the car.
Hmm.
And watching that, the breakdown of intimacy without getting why, that led him to ask his first really big life question. What is it? What is wrong? Simple but profound. And that moment, seeing connection fail, that's what kicked off his whole lifelong journey to figure out what's missing and how we talk to each other intimately.
And the big discovery, the thing we really need to grasp if we want better communication, is this shift. It's about focusing less on the answer and way more on the question itself.
Exactly, because every answer, it only exists because of the question asked, right? So the depth of your insight, it completely depends on how good that initial question was.
That simple idea just changes everything about how language shapes our reality.
Think about that common trap, the binary question. You ask a kid, are you ready for bed?
Ah, yeah. Which is basically asking for a no.
Right, it's a yes-no setup. It invites a fight, not cooperation.
You've trapped yourself. But if you just tweak the language, you tweak the outcome. We see it in basic parenting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Want to sleep in the bed or on the sofa.
Yep. You're still moving towards the goal bedtime, but you've limited the options to cooperative ones. No easy no available.
And that power to reframe gets really serious when the stakes are higher. Like the story in the sources about the mother diagnosed with MS.
Oh, yeah. She was stuck asking, why me? Which is such a victim question, isn't it? The answers can only really lead to despair.
It's completely paralyzing. So how did Artemis suggest she reframe it? How do you shift from victim to agent?
Well, she changed the question. Instead of why me, she started asking, why not me?
Why not me? Okay, how does that change things?
Suddenly, the possible answers are totally different. They become things like, why not me be the one strong enough for this? Or why not me use this to show others how to get through something hard? The question literally redesigns her reality, puts the focus back on her strength.
Okay, so if the question quality dictates our reality, we need a way to design better questions. Questions built to get around our defenses and into that ND space.
Right. And from analyzing thousands of these filmed conversations, Adizes has basically boiled it down to 5 key elements. 5 things a really nourishing question needs.
Okay, what's the first one?
First, and this is foundational, a connected perspective. The question has to be about the space between you, not just about one person's internal world.
So not just, what do you think about love, like in a vacuum?
Exactly. Instead, you use the relationship as the lens. You ask, how do you think we see love differently? Or, this one's deep, what do you think life has taught me?
Whoa. Asking someone else what they think life taught me, that forces them to really consider my experience through their eyes. It's inherently relational.
Totally. Okay, second element, non-binary and open-ended. Pretty straightforward. Avoid yes-no answers. They just shut things down.
But wait a second, what about, do you love me? Isn't that like the ultimate relationship question? Why is that a bad one according to this?
Well, think about it. It's basically a test, isn't it? It demands validation, not really intimacy. It lets the other person off the hook with the quickest, safest word. Yes.
Okay. I see that.
A good non-binary question invites the messy, vulnerable details. So instead, you ask, how do you experience your love for me? Or when do you feel that love most strongly? And what makes it fade sometimes? See? That requires way more than one word.
Yeah, it demands reflection, specifics. That makes sense. Okay, element 3.
The question needs to push towards constructive outcomes. It's got to guide you somewhere positive, towards growth, not just digging up old fights.
Right, not just finding fault. So you ditch the toxic classic, why do we always fight about this?
Yeah, and you flip it. You ask something like, okay, what is our biggest conflict right now? And what's the one useful lesson this conflict could teach us about how we work together?
The focus shifts instantly, from blame to potential. Okay, number 4.
Number 4 is it needs to be unexpected. The goal here is just disruption, breaking those comfortable, maybe stale conversational ruts we get into, force a new angle.
And the example that gives is wild. What is the biggest mistake you've made that has also been your greatest gift? Wow. Yeah, that's intense. That would definitely stop you in your tracks.
It forces you to hold two opposing ideas at once, failure and benefit. Instant vulnerability. Okay, and the last one, number 5. The question needs to be presented as a gift.
As a gift. How so?
It's about the language, using softer phrasing, like adding "you think." It makes it an invitation to explore, not a demand for some objective, maybe harsh truth.
So instead of the blunt, almost accusatory, what's the most painful thing you've done in our relationship?
Right, which sounds like you're putting them on trial. You soften it. What do you think is the most painful thing you've done? It respects their perspective, lets them name it, rather than you pointing the finger.
Okay, so designing the question is half the battle, but then you need the right environment for the answer. Which brings us to that difference Delius talks about, safety versus comfort.
Yes, this is crucial. Safety is non-negotiable. No abuse, no threats. That has to be absolute. But comfort, that's different.
So you actually have to be willing to sacrifice comfort.
You do.
Yeah.
Because real growth, real honesty, it usually happens just outside that cozy comfort zone. That's where the risk is and the reward.
And the rules they use of the eye contact for 30 seconds before starting or agreeing you can skip a question, that creates the container, right? Like setting a stage.
Exactly. It builds this little theatrical frame where difficult truths feel a bit safer to bring out.
And inside that safe but uncomfortable space, they use this technique, depth listening, which sounds like more than just, not interrupting.
Oh, much more. It's focusing completely on what your partner is saying, sure, but maybe even more on your own physical and emotional reaction while they're speaking.
So you stop rehearsing your brilliant comeback in your head.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You tune into your body, you notice like, oh, my chest just got tight when they said that, or I feel heat in my face, and you let that physical gut feeling guide your response.
You trust the body's reaction where the feelings actually live instead of just your rational brain.
That's the idea. Use that somatic data for your next authentic move.
Wow. Okay, so this whole framework, the right question, the safe space, the depth listening, this is what sets up those really powerful moments they capture. Which leads us perfectly to that story about Kate and Christina.
Yeah, a really moving example. It centers on question 6, which is, what's a sacrifice you've made for our relationship that you think I haven't acknowledged?
Okay. And Kate, when asked, she initially drew a blank. Felt like she hadn't really sacrificed much.
Right. But Christina, who had clearly been doing that depth listening, she saw it completely differently. She pointed out that for her, as a Black, deaf woman, the challenges she faced they felt like navigating the world generally, not specific sacrifices for the relationship.
Okay.
But Christina did see the sacrifices Kate had made, specifically around Kate's family, maybe some friendships that got strained or even broken because they were a same-sex couple. Real losses Kate endured because of the relationship.
Things Christina maybe hadn't fully clocked as relationship sacrifices for Kate.
Exactly. Christina admitted she'd sort of normalized those difficulties for Kate. But in that moment, seeing the true cost, Christina named it. She called it a huge, courageous act for their connection, for their A&D.
And Kate's reaction to finally hearing that acknowledgement.
It was apparently profound. That recognition totally reframed it for Kate. Suddenly, those painful experiences weren't just losses anymore. She saw them as proof of her own love, her own strength, her conviction.
So the sacrifice, once it was seen and named by her partner, it turned into pride.
A genuine source of pride. The acknowledgement literally changed the story Kate told herself about her own actions. It shifted from debt to strength. That's the power of this whole process in action.
That is. Yeah, that really brings it all together. The question led to vulnerability, the listening led to recognition, and that transformed the meaning.
That's the synthesis right there.
So wrapping this up, what's the takeaway for you, the listener? This deep dive, I think, really shows that love isn't just some passive feeling you fall into. It's an active practice.
A practice built on these pillars we've discussed. Getting really good at asking intentional questions, consciously building that safe but not necessarily comfortable space.
And developing that skill of depth, listening with your whole body to let the real truth come out.
And there's a final piece of wisdom from Odyssey's sources, kind of the ultimate practice, which connects all this to, well, to the fact that we don't have forever. It's about saying the important things now.
Not waiting for some perfect, maybe imaginary end moment that might never come.
Yeah, like that quote from the neuroscientist David Servan-Schreiber when he was near the end of his own life. He basically said, don't wait until the end to do and say what you want to. Act as if the end is now.
Act as if the end is now.
Which leaves us with the final and maybe the most important question for you listening right now. Based on everything we've talked about today, about real honesty, about connection, if the end really was today, right this minute, what profound, honest words would you need to share with the most important person in your life?
If you know what those words are, why are you waiting?
Something to think about.
We really hope this deep dive into the power of the question gives you maybe the nudge or the tools to go explore your own A&D.